has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast.
Yeah, that's where that window is for ESPN Bet. Like, that's where they took over for Barstool, and they put it at that Freehold racetrack, and that place is closing. It went under. After all these years, it finally went under. And I mean to tell you, it is like, you go in there, it's like a time warp. I mean, it is something else. Like, I used to leave there with bags of money. You park across the street, and the guy would walk you to your car, and I would be looking both ways. I had a baseball pass, guns, I had everything, because it wasn't cool. It wasn't kosher. It was sketchy. That's where that ESPN window is. It's embarrassing with their 2%. They should run some more commercials on ESPN for their big betting situation they got going on, which is a complete laughing stock of sports betting. They make no money. They have no one. No one's using it. No one. Let's just face facts. It's a complete failure, and they can run their commercials all day until the cows come home, and nobody goes to the window there. Nobody, ever. Not even the people that work there go to their own window there. I'm right about that, too. Christ, I'm on a roll today.
No doubt about that. I gave you all the big games for Saturday yesterday, the biggest games, I guess we should say. Now I'm going to give you even more. How about some racks for this Saturday in college football? Let's go here. Purdue visits Ohio State, fat number here in Columbus for the Buckeyes, 37.5. Florida visits Texas off by 21.5 for the Longhorns. Minnesota favored on the road in Piscataway. Boston College -1.5 against Syracuse, and Cincinnati -4.5 at home against the Mountaineers of West Virginia.
First of all, that Ohio State-Indiana game is on the 23rd, right? So that means it's the week after the Steelers play the Ravens. So there's like a 2-week window, right? It's a 2-week thing. So they play Michigan this week, and then they wait 2 weeks to play Ohio State. So no matter what, Ohio State must have do they have a week off after they play Purdue?
Ohio State is playing Northwestern at Wrigley Field on Indiana's bye week. So on the 16th.
Indiana has the bye, and that helps them. I hope that Ohio State, I could care less about that 37.5. I'm not getting involved. I hope that in the Purdue and Northwestern games, they mount injuries. I hope they just continue. Guys drop like flies. I hope they play at Wrigley Field and the field gets chunked up and they all tear their legs off. Florida, Texas. Texas is going to beat them senseless at Memorial. Rutgers and Minnesota. Minnesota's going to win that game at Rutgers because Rutgers now is officially on the watch list for teams that suck. Syracuse and BC. BC's fallen off a cliff. I like Cuse. West Virginia, Cincinnati. That's a Cincinnati win in Ohio, in the Queen City. Lay the 4.5. West Virginia, hairdryer city.
Next, Iowa State, despite the loss last week, now they need to keep winning so they can get themselves to the Big 12 title game. They're in Lawrence against Kansas, Army and North Texas, Clemson and Virginia Tech, Duke and NC State, Colorado and Texas Tech, also a huge game that they are going to have because Colorado's still in the mix. And by the way, that Iowa State game against Kansas, not in Lawrence because they're redoing the field there. That game's actually at Arrowhead is where they're playing that. So the big field is where they'll be.
It doesn't matter where it is because Kansas is just awful. They have had a nightmare season, and it all started with that stadium. They took them out of Lawrence. They moved them to a soccer field. They were like, what is happening here? And then every game they play, they lose. And every game they play, they don't cover. Iowa State is going to truck them. And I think Army, same thing. At North Texas, in Frisco, they're going to beat their ass. Va-Tech, Clemson. Clemson, oh my God, they look so horrible against Louisville. Are they going to blow it at Lane Stadium against the Hokies? I'll take the points. Duke and NC State. NC State at Raleigh. I thought Duke looked real weak against Miami in that second half. I think Texas Tech upsets Colorado in Lubbock. Enough of all those dreams of Colorado playing in the playoff against Miami.
I'm not done. South Carolina and Vandy, who have both obviously played well so far this year in the SEC. That game is in Nashville, and South Carolina is favored on the road at Vandy.
They're dead.
You have Maryland into Oregon. You have Tennessee against Mississippi State, Arizona State, and UCF, and TCU at home for Oklahoma State. What a miserable year for Gundy and the Cowboys. Miserable.
Look, Vandy doesn't lose at home. They'll cover the number at the worst. They'll win that game outright. Oregon will beat the absolute. I was going to say something horrible right there. Very horrible, I was going to say. That's what they're going to do to Maryland. Something very horrible. They will cover that game. Mississippi State, look, Tennessee, I'll bet my life they don't cover the number. They're going to win. They're so overrated, it's not even funny. And Mississippi State stinks. Yet look at their season. They cover games when you think they're not gonna. And then Central Florida at Arizona State. Wow, that's a brutal game. I like Arizona State at home, I guess. And Oklahoma State is falling apart. But I don't know. TCU's been awful as well. I don't know if they can beat them by 11. I really don't. I mean, Sonny Dykes, what has happened down in Fort Worth? TCU should win the game and cover. They should. Oklahoma State's a mess. Gundy's a mess.
And finally, some of the other night games. Washington makes the trip to Happy Valley this week for Penn State, who's laying 12.5. We've got Nevada into Boise, big number there. Pitt laying 7.5 at home against Virginia. Washington State into the rankings this week, 20.5 against Utah State. And late night on the islands, UNLV favored on the road at Hawaii this week.
They will not screw it up on the Big Island. The Rebels will win that game, going away and cover. Washington State's going to smoke Utah State. Pitt's going to take it out on Virginia, losing at SMU. They're going to win and cover. Boise's going to beat the snot out of Nevada. And Penn State, of course, will cover 13 and a hook because they beat all the teams that don't matter. They just can't beat anyone that does. They'll cover in that game in Happy Valley. Everyone will have a big whiteout party. They'll brag about their $110,000 and their great coach that they paid $10 million to. They can't win a game that matters to save his ass.
That's usually what happens. Heisman numbers. I told you I'd give you these to you today as well. Travis Hunter, of course, is at the top, but just his numbers overall. He's gone from 35 to 18, plus 250, now 2-1. 31% of the money. The most is on Hunter to win the award. As you see, it has become a three-man race between Hunter, Cam Ward, and Dylan Gabriel, as Genty is kind of, he's still there, but he has slipped a little bit off of those Heisman numbers that you will see there. So it's kind of where it's at right now. There they are for you. Cam Ward, Hunter, both at 185. Gabriel right there, and Genty at 5. Everyone else is finished. Rourke is 5th. He's 20-1.
Look, I don't deny that Travis Hunter is going to be a high draft pick in the NFL, and he's got all the options in the world staring him in the face. Playing receiver, playing corner, he can do it all. He is an incredible athlete. But no way will I ever agree that what he's doing at Colorado this year is better than Cam Ward. I'll tell you why. The kid Restrepo at Miami has better numbers than Travis Hunter. Better numbers flat out than Travis Hunter. And he doesn't even get mentioned for a Heisman. He's the all-time leading receiver in Miami history. He has way better numbers than Travis Hunter. Cam Ward is the Heisman winner. Every single week he puts up gigantic numbers.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Are you okay with him moving to the head of the class of the Heisman with those 2 games? Because he wasn't even in the discussion before those 2 games.
This is a big opportunity for Dylan if he wants to continue to make his case for the Heisman Trophy, and I think he's shown that. I mean, what is he, a 6th-tier player who's going to probably end up setting most of the passing marks because he's been around for so long? So why not also throw a Heisman Trophy in the mix?
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start, so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
This is the last thing I'll say before we go to the NBA about Cam Ward. And obviously I'm biased. I'm a huge Canes fan. But there's never been a quarterback put up those numbers that didn't win a Heisman. I mean, every single one of them. Every single guy that has ever put up the numbers he's put up has won a Heisman Trophy. And is it his fault that this kid plays 2 ways? I mean, he's not the best receiver in the world. He's a really good one. There's guys with better numbers. And then he's a really good corner. So which is it? He's just like Deion Sanders. He wants to play multiple sports and everything else. So great. But should that be a disadvantage for a guy that plays quarterback that has put up the numbers that this guy Cam Ward has put up? And the games that he's pulled out of his arse? The game at Berkeley, the game against Va Tech, the game against Duke. They were losing to Duke. And they blew them out. This guy's numbers are so Heisman worthy. It's not even funny. But they're giving this kid the Heisman because he plays 2 ways. I actually think it's ridiculous, to be honest with you.
Look, there's obviously still a few weeks to go here. Historically, over the last 25 years, this has been an award that generally leans to quarterbacks.
Right.
And has also become something else. And I complain about this to you all the time. I don't like that it's become like an MVP award. It shouldn't be. It should be the most productive and talented player in college football. It really shouldn't have anything to do with whether your team makes the playoff or wins their conference or whatever.
Right.
But it's become that. And I think that's also what's going to help Cam Ward, because if Miami goes undefeated and wins the ACC and they're one of those top 4 seeds in the college football playoff, I think that's going to springboard him even further into winning the award.
Let me ask you this question. Would Travis Hunter win the award as a receiver? No. Would he win it as a corner?
No.
No. He's going to win it because he's both. There is no way you can sell me that bullshit. This is about, if he was either or, he wouldn't win it. But they're going to give it to him because he's both. That is ridiculous. When you have a guy... the guys that have won the Heisman Gino Torretta doesn't have anywhere near what Cam Ward has done, and he won the Heisman. Like, every guy that has ever put up those numbers in the history of the Heisman Trophy has won it. Every one of them. And they're going to shaft this guy because some kid plays 2 ways because Deion Sanders sells sunglasses? I mean, Christ, what is next? What is next I got to put up with? It's so crooked. Let's do NBA before I lose my temper.
And we have a big slate tonight. Of course, the NBA was quiet last night. Nobody played on Election Day. A few notes for you before I get to
election.
Few notes before I get to those games tonight. AD has scored 30-plus in 5 of 7 games this season for the Lakers, and I think he's grabbed 11-plus boards in 4 out of the 7. He has been very good for them so far, but remember, he left that game the other night a little banged up. Looks like he's going to be all right for tonight. Peyton Pritchard of the Celtics is the favorite for the 6th man at 4-1. There's like 7 months left in the season.
I know, but they're already
for the
giving him the
6th man
award.
of the year.
Now, listen, I like the kid. I hate the Celtics, but I have to admit I like the kid. I always liked him at Oregon. He can really ball. And then you saw the whole bit of him going into the hood to play with the kids, playing one-on-one in the park.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool,
Yes.
and he admitted that it made him feel good because he loves playing in the park and loves, playing with kids and just felt like a kid again. That's refreshing in this day and age of Hollywood professional athletes. Let's face facts. I mean, they've all become Hollywood. They all have podcasts, and they all are movie stars and doing documentaries. I like guys that are like, I'm going to go into the hood and I'm going to play some pickup ball in the park because I want to feel like a kid again. That, to me, is really refreshing. I like Peyton Pritchard. I hate the fact that he plays for the communist Celtics.
That's the bad part of things, that's for sure. Oh, by the way, I just wanted to check on AD. He was at the shoot-around this morning. He's officially listed as questionable tonight for the Lakers in Memphis, so he'll probably go. Last thing before I get to the game.
Oh, God, here we go.
Did you read the big feature cover story on Bronny in Men's Health this month? Did you pick up that magazine and read that?
What is next? That this guy is on the cover of magazines, and he's got no game. But his daddy is so famous that now his son is reaping the benefits of that and getting covers of magazines and Men's Health and everything else about his broke-ass, weak-ass game. He has no game. He has no pro game. He should be in the G League or he should be in college. And he's on the cover of every magazine on earth because he can't score, because he's LeBron's son. And I think it's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen, this whole charade with his little son who can't play basketball. I think the kid could be a great player at college right now. And I think he could actually be a relatively decent 7-minute burn guy in the G League. There are so many better players than him in the G League that it's not even funny. You have no idea. I know a bunch of them that are better than him right now, flush. So does Coach Young. And if he disagrees with that, we'll have at it. We'll have at it. Because there is no way you can tell me that kid is an NBA player. Or he should be on the cover of all these magazines. Makes me sick to my stomach. People say I'm jealous, whatever else. Say whatever you want. I don't care. Have at it. Lacquer me with a paintbrush. I could care less because I'm right. He shouldn't be on the cover. Shouldn't be in the NBA. That's all there is to it. He has no game. Now listen, he's like every time he goes on the floor, they're like a negative 50.
He needed, and this will be the 900th time I've probably said this, he needed 2 or 3 more years of college basketball.
That's right.
He needed 2 or 3 more years of college basketball. He should have went with LeBron's friend over there to Duquesne, played in that league, could have been probably one of the best players in that conference, got some good burn, developed his game.
All of his
and
friends
did all
from
that,
Sierra Canyon suck in the NBA, and all of them are struggling for minutes and for burn and for points and for shots and for anything. And yet he gets the star treatment. Like this guy, what's next? He's pulling up in his Lamborghini at the Lakers games at the Crypt, right? We're gonna have a movie about him. What's next? His daddy's gonna do a movie about him? Honestly, it's embarrassing.
Need help with your NFL picks? Get NFL insider knowledge from Pro Football Doc, Dr. David Chow, with Sick Picks at Sports Injury Central. We reveal hidden injury advantages the sports books miss. Our doctors provide insights, and our algorithm tells you who to bet on. Spreads, player props, totals, in-game bets, Sick Picks covers it all. Get a free week now with promo code SportsGrid at SickScore.com.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, NBA tonight. Let's hit these games, Carver High.
All right, let's dance. Detroit, coming off that win at home against the Lakers the other night. They're in Charlotte tonight against the Hornets. Pistons now slight favorites on the road, -1.5 with the 221.5 total.
Yeah, I like Detroit tonight. Charlotte's been losing left and right. They've dropped at least 3 in a row, and Detroit's won a couple games here. I'll take the Pistons on the road and Charlotte at the Nest.
Orlando is in Indiana against the Pacers. Of course, they had a good win in Dallas on Monday. -5.5 for Indiana, 227.5 the total.
It went down from 7. I love it at 5.5. The Pacers are going to win this game. The Magic are losing every single game lately without Banchero, and not only that, they've been getting shredded.
The Knicks have gotten out of the gates a little slow. They're 3-3 as they head to Atlanta tonight against the Hawks. Knicks -6.5 here, 225.5 the total.
You know, I saw the Hawks as high as 8 today. I like Atlanta to cover the number and the Knicks to win the game. I'll middle it.
I'm with you on that. Really good one tonight. In fact, this is the first game of the TV doubleheader in Boston. Warriors and the Celtics. Warriors 6-1, and they have Curry back. Celtics 7-1, of course, playing good ball. 6.5 the number here for Boston at home, 228.5 the total.
I like Boston at home always. I don't care who they're playing. And, you know, I know that the Warriors have Curry back. I know they are one of the best three-point shooting teams and best assist teams in the league. And I've said to you on this show that they're deep. They got a nice bench. They can play. But the Celtics are a different beast altogether. And in their building, they're, to me, unbeatable.
Believe it or not, third time already this season that the Spurs and the Rockets are playing.
I mean, honestly, what are they doing?
They played last week twice. They split with the home and home. Now they get together again in Houston. Rockets -6.5, 214.5 the total.
I like the Rockets laying a 6 at the Toyota. And I think this is really bad on the NBA's part that, like, this is, somewhat of a little mini rivalry. The Riverwalk guys coming up and playing the big boys in Houston. Houston and San Antonio, let's face it. And yet, They're going to play all the games in the first month of the season, so they're never going to play again. That'll be that. So I think it's stupid scheduling. Stupid.
Doesn't make a lot of sense, that's for sure. Lakers, as we mentioned, are in Memphis tonight against the Grizzlies. Now, we don't have anybody officially out yet, but keep in mind, we said AD questionable, Reeves questionable, Hachimura questionable, D'Angelo Russell questionable. All game time decisions for those guys. That's why the Grizzlies -1.5, 231.5 the total.
I like Ja and Edie and the Grizzlies to win this game tonight off Beale Street. I'm going to go with Memphis.
Cleveland, of course, 8-0 to start the year, into New Orleans to see the Pelicans. Cavs -6.5 on the road, 222.5 total.
I like them on the road here. The Pelicans have looked awful. McCollum's out. Cavs are undefeated. They're winning every game. I say they go in, and we just saw the Pelicans, what was it, the other night? I didn't even see it coming. They got whacked by 18 by the Blazers at home. What do you think the Cavs are going to do to them?
Yeah, the Blazers are so bad. Oh, they're so awful. The Bulls are in Dallas against the Mavericks. Mavs -9.5, 237.5, big total.
You know, they blew it the other night at home to the Pacers. Why not take the 10.5 of the Bulls and roll the dice?
The Thunder, also undefeated so far this year. They are 7-0 as they go to Denver tonight to see the Nuggets. OKC, 7.5-point favorites in Denver with the 223.5.
I like the Nuggets with the number. I think the Thunder win the game by a bucket.
And some notes here, of course. No Murray, no Gordon for Denver in that game. So no Murray, no Gordon. They're both out.
They got Joker.
Tonight
That's
for
all
the
that
Nuggets.
matters. I don't care who they put in there. They'll have Christian Braun play his ass off. They got all kinds of guys.
They do got Joker. Heater in Phoenix against the Suns. Suns -5.5. They're out to a 6-1 start.
You know, Miami lost that game the other night. Sabonis at the buzzer. I like the Suns in the Valley laying the 5.5. They've looked really good to me.
I have two other games that we will do when we come back, including Paul George already returning to the Los Angeles to play the Clippers at the Intuit
tonight.
And then I have all the college tonight. There are several college games, including Indiana's opener tonight on the college slate.
Against SIU Edwardsville at Assembly Hall.
Are they definitely done with Daniel Jones from this point? And any shot that Dable is off the sidelines, meaning he gets fired before next season?
They have a general manager in Joe Shane. Every big move has to get approval by ownership. So look, the bottom line is they don't know who their future quarterback is past this season. Tommy DeVito's clearly not the answer. They don't have it. Drew Lock's not the answer.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in the set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
A lot of concern, I would say, for Georgia in Carson Beck. 3 interceptions. Once again. His third 3-interception game in the last 5 for UGA.
You can argue if they had Alex Orji as their starting quarterback for Georgia, they would be perfect and unbeaten right now just by not turning the football over and running it with your talented backfield.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
What can you say about Hunter? Besides the fact that he's got to be healthy. Remember, he had the shoulder injury that kind of limited him at, once he got to the end of the season. 17.9, 10-point line last year, and he should be, as usual, a double-double machine. He's got to be able to continue to show the ability to try and shoot the ball from three.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, too left in the NBA to discuss before we hit college rack.
Yes, the Sixers, who are off to a miserable 1-5 start, are still out on the West Coast. They are in Los Angeles against the Clippers. Now, Paul George just left the Clippers, but he has not played at the brand spanking new Intuit Dome, so he gets to do that tonight. -1.5 for the Clips, 214.5 the total.
I think Philly's winning this game outright. I think Maxi's going to have a game. I think Paul George will go from 15 to 25 points tonight as he returns to see the Clippers in their new building. He'll get the business from the fans for leaving, although I thought he gave the Clippers everything they could ever ask for when he played there, and it is a business. You can go play wherever you want. You get a better deal, go do it. And so that's what he did. And I think he's going to come back tonight, light them up, because the Clippers stink. And I think Philly has been bad, but now with Maxey and George together, they had one game the other night. They lost by 2 in Phoenix. They'll win tonight.
And finally, the Raptors are in Sacramento against the Kings. Kings -11.5, 236.5 the total.
Well, Morenzi said the Raptors cover every night, so give me the Raptors in 11.5. I think the Kings will win the game, but they'll F around with them.
The Clippers actually have been pretty good at covering. I mean, the Raptors, excuse me. They are 7-1 ATS, the Raptors, so far this year. So they've been very good at covering the number. There you go. Your night in the NBA. How about college rack for tonight? We do have a few games to take a look at, including Indiana playing for the first time this year. We have a few teams making their debuts. Indiana laying a fat number at home, as you said, against SIU Edwardsville at Assembly Hall. We also have two-time defending national champion UConn opening their season at home against Sacred Heart. Rutgers opens against Wagner. A note here: Rutgers star freshman Ace Bailey out due to an injury that he suffered in practice on Monday. One of the, of course, most sought-after prospects, one of the top potential picks in the NBA draft, Ace Bailey, not playing for Rutgers tonight. They should still take care of Wagner, though.
Already injured. That's crazy. I don't know what it is. But Dylan Harper, who I know, and I've been around, I've seen him work. This kid works his ass off. He's a badass. He's going to light Wagner's ass up tonight. UConn is going to absolutely torture Sacred Heart. They'll have a bleeding heart when it's over in stores. Auburn at Neville at home, 17.5. Vermont's always tough. Can the Catamounts cover at the Neville? I doubt it. Arkansas's first game with Calipari, they're going to take it out on Lipscomb as far as I'm concerned. And Indiana will cover. They got Bayo now from Arizona playing in the low block. Allegedly, Mike Woodson's loaded. He's got Galloway back. They got a team, allegedly, in Indiana. Let's see what they're made of tonight. I'll be watching.
The good news for those kids at Sacred Heart is that it's a short bus ride back to campus in Fairfield after they get smashed by UConn tonight. So they do have.
They can have a team prayer the whole ride.
Not a bad ride back from stores over there to the Sacred Heart campus. College rack for tonight. Lots of teams making their debut. All right, some baseball. Of course, you have the GM meetings going on down in San Antonio this week. Here's Brian Cashman from yesterday. Me and you love this guy. Let's first hear him what bothers me about him, and I know it bothers you as well, is that he talks so condescending, like he knows so much more than everybody else, and he just very flippant. Here he is being asked about Soto, and he's basically like, we're going to offer him money, but if he goes, he goes. We'll find something else to do.
We certainly have an interest in retaining him, and we'll put our best foot forward there. But at the same time, that'll either lead to us retaining him and signing him back, or we'll be forced to go to a different direction if we can. And if we can't, there's a lot of different players in this marketplace that can positively impact this roster in different ways. So, we will be working on, every aspect of opportunity and exploring any way possible to put together the best team we possibly can for 2025, because we want to get back to where we just finished.
Please. Yeah, this guy is just rambling. It was like a carousel of nonsense. No one can replace Soto in Yankee Stadium. No one. There's not one guy in baseball that can fill his shoes. And that's just all there is to it. And then, now I know they're talking upstairs, Hal and Cash, about Aaron Boone, but it's always the same game with him. They bring him back automatic. What's he saying about him? Oh, he loves it.
He loves him. Loves him. He's not going anywhere. Here he is talking about Boone.
There's some moves in the playoffs that didn't work out that you're disappointed in with him.
That's true. You can do that. The manager job is so impossible. So you can play the game of second guessing, because you're either going to make a move and it'll be right, you make a move and it'll be wrong, and then have at it, right? So
this guy's had this job way too long, man.
As I said, I think he's a really, really good manager. I think we're lucky to have him.
Really,
He's done a
really
great
good
job.
manager. We're lucky to have him.
At the same time, it's a very hard job to do, always.
We're lucky to have
him. It gets harder in the postseason, because ultimately it's either whatever you do either works or it doesn't. So there's no gray area.
It's a crapshoot. That's all it is. It's a
whatever.
crapshoot.
Aren't you sick of him? I am sick and tired of that guy, honestly.
Well,
I don't even, it goes in one ear and out the other when I hear him talk. That was a bunch of rambling nonsense is what it was.
We have wanted them for the last few years to strip it down to the studs and get rid of everybody, but that's just not going to happen.
They never
because they're not going to, and then coming off making the World Series, they're really not going to do that. So the brain trust of the Yankees is going nowhere. I did see just before this afternoon that Scott Boras made his yearly pilgrimage at the GM meetings to meet with reporters, and there are some fairly funny clips that we'll have tomorrow of Scott Boras talking about, and he's got every big client, by the way. He's got Soto, he's got Alonso, he's got Bregman, he's got Snell, he's got really all the biggest guys. So it's going to be a busy offseason. As it always is for Scott Boras. Shohei Ohtani had shoulder surgery. Remember, he got hurt in the World Series. He'll be good to go for spring training. No problems there. I did see Dave Roberts, I guess that was on Mookie Betts' podcast, say that he thought that the Dodger-Padres series was the World Series. He thought the winner of that series was going to win the World Series. And I don't know if I necessarily disagree with him.
I don't either.
After everything all said.
That's what I was just going to say. I don't either. I think he might be dead on, and I'll tell you what, the Mets took him to 6 in L.A. They went back to L.A. The Yankees didn't. So when I heard people say, Kelly said it's the Padres, Phillies, Mets, Yankees, I think Kelly's right. I think Roberts is right.
What's Kelly's deal, by the way? He's finding every microphone he can right now to bash the Yankees. He's got all kinds of problems.
He really is a male organ of the month club. He's a D. He's a giant
I would
P.
agree with you on that he is the organ of the month. Matt Chapman is the 5th active player to win 5
That's why he
plus
got all
gold
that
gloves.
money, apparently. I didn't know he wins every gold glove.
He wins a gold glove every year, and now he's got a lot of money in San Francisco going forward. Good for him. We had our first signing of the free agency period, I believe,
Hendricks.
today. So Kyle and this is why, you want to know why the Angels lose every year? I'm going to tell you why the Angels lose every year. Because they spend their money so poorly, especially when it comes to pitching. They need pitching so bad. They go and sign Kyle Hendricks today, who's been with the Cubs his whole life. He was part of the World Series team. That guy, what do you have, like a 6 ERA this year? Kyle Hendricks? I mean, he is washed. And the Angels just go out and, here you go. Here's some money. We'll take Kyle Hendricks in the rotation.
Jimmy Hendricks pitching for the Angels.
They will
in Anaheim.
never learn.
He's going to love Southern California. I'll tell you that much. Better than Chicago.
That's why he signed so fast. He was like, Midwest to sunny Southern California? Let's go. I mean, I'm ready. Your boy was ready for it.
Are they definitely done with Daniel Jones from this point? And any shot that Dable is off the sidelines, meaning he gets fired before next season?
They have a general manager in Joe Shane. Every big move has to get approval by ownership. So, look, the bottom line is they don't know who their future quarterback is past this season. Tommy DeVito's clearly not the answer. They don't have it. Drew Lock's not the answer.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
A lot of concern, I would say, for Georgia in Carson Beck. 3 interceptions. Once again, his third 3-interception game in the last 5 for UGA.
You can argue if they had Alex Orji as their starting quarterback for Georgia, they would be perfect and unbeaten right now just by not turning the football over and running it with your talented backfield.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
What can you say about Hunter? Besides the fact that he's got to be healthy. Remember, he had the shoulder injury that kind of limited him at, once he got to the end of the season. 17.9, 10.9 last year, and he should be, as usual, a double-double machine. He's got to be able to continue to show the ability to try and shoot the ball from 3.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Of course, Coach James Young is our basketball guru and insider on SportsGrid. You catch him on Coast to Coast regularly, and he's got Betting Above the Rim podcast, which is badass. And, Coach, I want to start with Ace Bailey being injured for Rutgers out of the gates. And Peichel and this team has lofty expectations with Dylan Harper and Bailey, and there's a lot of talk about both of them being one and done and going into the NBA draft with immediacy and being in the top 5 in lottery picks. And he's missing their first game tonight against Wagner, and nobody knows what the injury is. Highly secretive, Rutgers. Are they going to play that game all year, never tell anybody what an injury is? Like the NHL, it's an upper body, a lower body. They're just going to lie about it. Nobody knows what the injury is. Can they win without him?
They better be able to win without him. This is a Rutgers team, and listen, at the end of the day, they always defend. It's never been the issue with Steve Peichel, let's be honest, for one of the better defensive coaches in college basketball. It's their ability to score. The one time I saw Dylan Harper play in the preseason was an exhibition game versus St. John's, and they were absolutely electric. I think they scored over 80 points. It's something for a Rutgers team, which would be like a mirage. I mean, they score over 60. That's an offensive output. So, to me, yeah, they should be fine. Listen, it's a day-to-day thing. So, is that an ankle? Is that a groin? Whatever they do, that's their lottery ticket. They're going to take it easy with them. They still should be able to get the win tonight over Wagner.
UConn opens defensive their back-to-back national championships in stores tonight against, I feel sorry for them, Sacred Heart. I don't care what his lineup is or who's on that bench. UConn should destroy them, no?
They should absolutely destroy them. And if you really think about it, folks, they always cover non-conference games. And here's the thing people need to realize. Dan Hurley will treat this game like a national championship. Now, obviously, getting Diarra back, getting Johnson back, that helps them. Obviously, Caravan will have a big step up. Folks, know the name Liam McNeely. It's a 6'5" kid out of Texas, could shoot the damn lights out.
Didn't he screw Indiana?
Yeah, basically. But anyway, this kid can really play, Ferrall. And at the end of the day, I know people are looking at all these other teams, Duke, UConn, Alabama. Ferrall, I'm saying now, I can't bet against Dan Hurley until someone beats them when it counts, and that's in the tournament.
So what do you think Bello will do at Indiana from Arizona? Do you think Woodson will capitalize on the big fella and having Galloway back? Do you think Indiana will live up to their expectations? They start tonight against SIU Edwardsville at Assembly Hall in Bloomington.
They better. I mean, let's be honest, Ferrall, and you know, obviously last year was a tough year with Indiana, obviously losing the General, but like this is it for him. If they don't win this, Ferrall, and you know this better than anybody being an IU guy, an IU graduate, if they don't win now, I don't know when they're winning. I mean, they're top 17 in the country. Omar Ballo, to me, is all about how they use them. Now, Woody coaching the NBA, I think you got to go inside out. I thought that was the problem with him at Arizona. I didn't think he got used enough in the low block. I think they're going to be a fantastic team. And let's be honest, in the Big Ten, they should be up there at the class at the top of the league with their experience coming back and with the big man coming in from Arizona.
How do you think Calipari will start against Lipscomb? The number's only 14.5. That says to me that Arkansas doesn't have much in his first year down there. It's a whole brand new team that he brought in. How do you think he's going to do?
You know what? I've been on this believing, Ferrall, they got a big game. Remember, they got a big game coming up this weekend versus Baylor after Baylor got whacked by Gonzaga a couple nights ago. I have on this belief. I don't know why. I feel like Cal's they're going to be great this year. I think getting DJ Wagner, bringing in the kid Knox, the star freshman. I believe that's Kevin Knox's little brother, and other players that have coming in. The stretcher from Auburn. I think they're going to be really, really good. And the SEC is obviously loaded. They should roll tonight, but the big test will be for Cal Saturday in Dallas versus Baylor after Baylor lost by about 40 to Gonzaga.
Oh, I feel sorry for him. Baylor's going to take it out on them on Saturday. Know that. Let's go to the NBA. How do you think Paul George will do tonight against the Clippers in the Intuit?
Well, listen, he was really rusty in game number one, right?
Of course.
And then obviously the end of the game with the play. Let's get one thing straight here. And I want Paul George to understand this, okay? You are the number 2 option on this team. You're the number 2 guy. At the end of the day, everything's got to go through Tyrese Maxey. And I think that is the key, is if he can play as that number 2 guy, then I think that bodes well for him. I think he plays well. I don't think the Clippers are very good. But at the end of the day, you're looking at James Harden probably guarding Tyrese Maxey. Yikes. Tyrese Maxey over his points prop tonight.
No Murray, no Gordon, but Joker's playing. A good one tonight at all with the Nuggets hosting the undefeated Thunder?
I'm taking the Thunder. Ferrall, let's be honest. Look at the schedule. Who have the Nuggets beat? They beat in overtime. They beat the Nets. They beat Toronto. And then their other 2 games, they beat Toronto again and someone else not good. Who on their schedule have they played and played well? Opening night, they lose by 15 to OKC.
They beat the Jazz.
They beat the Jazz. Yeah, I mean, listen, Ferrall, me, you, and Mafia. I mean, I think Mafia is the third wheel out of the 3 of us.
He hasn't been getting a lot of burn, Mafia. He ain't getting no burn like Ferrall. You and I are on the court all the time. Mafia's over there at the table eating.
Hey, Mafia could be like Petey Pablo or MLK waving a towel, but you and I can get a couple of minutes of run with the Utah Jazz.
Let's go.
I think it's going to be OKC all day. I think they want to continue to make statements that they're the best team in the West.
A good game tonight. Dubs and C's at the Garden in Boston. They never lose there, but boy, does this deep Dubs team have shooters and passers.
Yeah, they got shooters and passers, but let's see what Draymond does. And if we could just keep getting that hitch, getting off of it, Tatum's going to go off. I like Boston. I can't go against them at home. Not ever.
Yeah, me too. All right, Coach, great stuff. We'll catch up with you. We'll hit more NBA next time. I get really excited about college basketball, as you know, because it's so kick-ass. And I'm excited for my Hoosiers tonight. And there's just tons of games to talk about. So next time we'll do more NBA.
Are they definitely done with Daniel Jones from this point? And any shot that Dable is off the sidelines, meaning he gets fired before next season?
They have a general manager in Joe Shane. Every big move has to get approval by ownership. So, look, the bottom line is they don't know who their future quarterback is past this season. Tommy DeVito's clearly not the answer. They don't have a Drew Lock's not the answer.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
A lot of concern, I would say, for Georgia in Carson Beck. 3 interceptions. Once again, his third 3-interception game in the last 5 for UGA.
You can argue if they had Alex Orji as their starting quarterback for Georgia, they would be perfect and unbeaten right now just by not turning the football over and running it with your talented backfield.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
What can you say about Hunter? Besides the fact that he's got to be healthy. Remember, he had the shoulder injury that kind of limited him at, once he got to the end of the season. 17.9, 10.9 last year, and he should be, as usual, a double-double machine. He's got to be able to continue to show the ability to try and shoot the ball from 3.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, time for leftovers, and we'll hit a little hockey. Everybody loves hockey, everybody.
Yes, we do have hockey here to finish things out. I know from your tweets and your texts that you watched the Islander-Penguin game
I did.
last night at the horse track, and I didn't see a lot of the early part. I saw the end of it, but I don't disagree with anything you said. Both teams suck. That's what it comes down to. Both teams aren't very good.
Name the last time that Crosby and Malkin scored in the same game and they lost. They were up 3-1. They blew the game. That's not surprising to me because they suck. But they usually don't lose a game that they both score in. And it's happened 124 times in their 20 years together, right? 20 and 19 years they've been playing. Crosby in his 20th year. They never lose when they both score, but they did last night. And that game was so awful. In the shootout, only one guy scored, Horvat. The rest of them missed. It was embarrassing. Both teams stink. I think the Penguins suck worse than the Islanders, but I am not giving your team a pass either. They suck too.
I am not going to disagree with you on any of that. And by the way, for the replay people out there, 90 seconds. If you haven't figured it out, the call on the ice should stand. It took forever with that offsides replay on the Crosby goal. And it had nothing to do with the play either. Get lost. Enough of this stuff. Sabres beat the Sens 5-1. Leafs, no Matthews, didn't matter. They beat the Bruins 4-0. Canes beat the Flyers 6-4. We've played a lot of nice, heartfelt John Tortorella clips over the last year. But he was upset after they lost 6-4 to the Hurricanes last night. Here we go.
You said this morning you wanted to see progress in certain areas. Did you see enough of that tonight?
No.
As far as guys getting off the schneid, you get one, Frosty gets a bounce, Tip gets one. At least good to see them get going.
Yep. What was it that you didn't think was
I'm not going to dissect it.
Thoughts on Kolosov's play today?
Okay.
Good.
Oh, here we go with this guy again. I mean, he is something else. You know, he's got to go out to pasture. He really does. I mean, his act is getting so stale with the way he treats people. It really is amazing. And I actually thought he had turned the corner and was treating people better. I guess I was wrong about that.
He had a bad night last night.
Whatever.
He had a bad night in
loser.
Carolina.
Sore loser.
That's what he is. He wasn't happy. Tonight, let's go. Nashville's in Washington against the Capitals. Only 3 games here. Caps minus $1.25.
I like the Caps. They've been unbelievable to me.
Detroit is in Chicago against the Blackhawks. Detroit road favorites minus $1.22.
Patty Kane comes back to haunt the Blackhawks.
And finally, people thought Connor McDavid was going to be out 2 to 3 weeks. He only missed 1. He's back tonight at home against Vegas. Oilers are minus 146.
I wanted to take Vegas at plus 135, but the problem is they haven't won a game on the road. They're 8-0 at home, and they've lost every game. They're 0-3-1 on the road. Give me the Oilers.
And a couple of other things from Election Day yesterday. Missouri amendment to legalize sports betting looks like it's getting through. I believe there was a couple extra votes to count today, but it seems like they're going to get it. There's only 11 states now that haven't figured it out in terms of legalized sports betting. Florida voters, though, rejected the recreational marijuana.
How pathetic
So that
is
goes
that?
down.
How pathetic is
down
that?
the
In Florida,
recreational marijuana.
I mean, honestly, in Florida, everyone smokes weed. There is no the laws, or it doesn't matter what the law is. Everyone smokes weed in Florida.
And I only saved this for me because it had something to do with Conor McGregor. And again, a story about Conor McGregor and not one of him fighting. The woman accusing McGregor of sexual assault testifies in the civil case. Is he ever going to fight again? He's got too many problems in court. How could he ever fight again?
He never gets convicted of anything. He's like Trump.
No.
He gets away with everything he does. He's automatic, and he's a good movie star, too. I think he should do movies. Ferrall finished a 17-year-old wanted in Texas for killing a Sonic burger manager in an argument over counterfeit money, is arrested after being on the run for 3 months. I bet he missed having those shakes they make there at Sonic. And when you're living in the woods for 3 months, a Long Island woman slashes her boyfriend's face as he tries to break up with her, telling him, quote, "You're not leaving until I see you bleed," end quote. Now that is fantastic that she just handled her business with a straight razor blade to the face, gashing his face open. A teenage chess grandmaster is expelled from a tournament after punching a woman during a post-loss tantrum like John Tortorella. GTD is next. Go to FerrallAndAbout.com. Enjoy all the games tonight across the board. We'll see you tomorrow at 3 on Coast to Coast.
You got Porzingis, you got Holiday, you got Derek White, you got literally, I would say what, 5 guys can get you 20 points in a game?
I know people will say it's, only one guy. I don't believe that, Coach, that, one guy, those days are over, in my opinion. Like, a Bill Russell, a Wilt Chamberlain.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
You're going a little deep bomb hunting here. We don't care that we have the one heavy favorite with Rory, a couple other guys like Fleetwood and Tagala, etc. You're going to go a little deeper down the board.
This course, I think, is going to play a little bit more to the wedges. They have, what they did is they've renovated it to basically block off some of the bombing alleys for these guys. They've narrowed the fairways.
Ferrall Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Garrett Cole's getting ready to come back, too. I guess this... Look, they've played great without him, but you're not going to say to Garrett Cole, look, don't come back. I mean, it's a ridiculous conversation to have.
They're not going to take any unnecessary chances. And look, they're at the point where they have a lead. They certainly are going to make the playoffs, I would say, barring some sort of complete collapse. And that's all it takes.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
8 playoff games at home for Boston in Beantown. They are 6-2 straight up.
The wild card, I would say, in this game is not necessarily, well, what are we going to get out of Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, Brown, and certainly Tatum. It is Kristaps Porzingis to me, because we're not getting back a player that's like, hey, rotational guy. Like, remember when Derek Lively went down with an injury? He was playing well, but a young player, like a piece.
The early line. Only on Sports.